Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's August 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and pretty interesting day. It was an uptrend. Notice we had during the overnight we had a leg up. There's actually two swings or two legs in that leg up, and then if you look for your measured move, that's exactly I think we went one or two ticks higher, but notice that's where all your resistance was across there all day long. We never could get above that. Um, if you put your line on that measured move, you can see that was the top of the resistance, except for that one little overshoot there. So that was a great target. Would have worked out perfectly for you. So as far as the price action goes, in that, as far as using the measured moves and all, it was pretty close to being almost perfect. So okay, I had a slight interruption there. But anyway, you can see the measured move, and then we just went sideways the rest of the day. The market was too strong to sell off, but there wasn't enough buying to continue higher at this price level. So, um, but we had this channel working up. It's a little bit steep. Let me move over here a little bit. You can see it's a little bit steep. Generally, you're going to look at a 45-degree angle, which is more of this smaller, tighter channel. And notice the overshoot, and then we had the close outside. We just went sideways the rest of the day. We didn't quite, I don't think we quite got a new high. Prices, no, we never got a new high. Prices couldn't get higher than this upper part of this range across here. So really around 26, what is that price level? You can see that 24.65.50 was really where most of your resistance came the rest of the day. So you didn't really want to short or go long. The range was just too tight. We finally got a little failed break lower. Generally, you want to wait on a higher low. I wouldn't be afraid to probably take that long just to ride it back to test this. There's enough room to get out because you're probably going to come back and test this, but you're generally better off waiting on a higher low that shouldn't come till after 2 o'clock, and then it's a dead doji. I mean, a perfect doji on my chart. So even then, I probably wouldn't have taken that trade. If I didn't enter here, I'm probably going to be done for the day. But not a lot of trades, but they were all fairly easy trades. There's also a reversal here. Failed second entry short. You're going long right into the highs of the day, but it is right off the key entry point. So you might have considered that trade. I didn't mark it. It's too, you got one tick into the high. So, and you notice it didn't take long to come back. You really needed another confirmation of this trend line, and notice you got that here. You got 1, 2, and then 3, and then you got a fourth one, which is another nice entry. This was really a fairly simple second entry right here that gives you enough room to get out, and then but it just keeps going. So a runner would have been nice there. But let's talk about the trades. Notice here we're just going sideways. We had a little bit of what looked like an overshoot, but at that point you really didn't have enough price action to say, hey, that's not the high right there. Um, maybe it's here, maybe it's here. It doesn't really matter. Either way, we just start going sideways, and you got that congestion right across there, and you get a little failed break lower. It bounces right off of this trend line if you drug it over. And but more importantly, it's right off the EMA, so you didn't even need the trend line. Um, you're probably going to go higher there. It didn't take off instantly. It came back and then took off. And normally I'd say I'd add on here, but this being inside this range and this being a very negative bearish bar, I'm not going to go long again right into those highs since we didn't push through this time. It makes it really suspect. So I didn't even mark that one green. I just don't like it. And we never got another push back down until here. And then you're going along right into a double top at the high of the day. That's always risky. Even though there's probably a good chance that we're going higher, um, it's just too risky. And then you get the same little setup again right here. It pulls back. You could probably argue that, hey, this one's worth being green because this is looking like a really strong trend. We don't have a measured move in place, but I'm still just not comfortable with one tick away, being the fact that we just pushed up there and didn't go any further. You could argue for it to be green. I'll make it green, but what happens is we get a breakout and then you get a two legs back over and you test that area, that support right across there, but more importantly, you confirm that trend line. So I like that one. And then we make a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, so you get another bounce, little bitty tiny bar, 2 ticks, it looks like maybe, right off the EMA, second entry, right off the trend line. I like that one. And this time it takes off. You don't know that it's going to continue to go higher there. You're expecting it probably turns down here. But if you take a runner, you just ride that one out because you never really had a bar that broke lower until way up here. Then you're coming back, first entry, pull back second entry, and that's a fairly bullish bar that bounces again right off the trend line. We did have this overshoot, so that concerned me a little bit about this one. But at this point, this is looking like a pretty strong trend with that being a second entry and bouncing right off the EMA and being a little double, 2 bar matching low, double bottom there. I like that one. But notice what happens here. It doesn't go any higher, and you really make a triple top there. You can't see my line because I've got the price line running across there. It kind of covers it up. But so this one is really suspect entering here because you're going long right into almost a triple top right there, definitely a double top. And so you might have entered this one, but when it pulls back again here, I got several questions. And this looks like, that failed second entry short and all that. But look how many times you've turned down. 1, 2, 3, and then you got another bar touching there that closed right on it, and you can't get above it. You really got to skip that trade. I can understand why people would like it. And if you did take it, when it turned up there and turns right back down, and kind of just going sideways there, I would exit. I wouldn't let it come back and take my stop out right here. You wouldn't have lost a whole lot on that trade, but a couple of you asked me about this one, and it looks like a reversal pattern. I wouldn't. This is an uptrend, and we never have really, we're in an uptrend, so it's not really a reversal pattern. Although I can see why you would want to call it a reversal type pattern. It is a correction here, and that looks like, hey, well, maybe that's the reversal off the correction. But that doesn't turn out to be the case. This turns out to be an overshoot, and we just correct after that. You figure you're going to get a break about an equal distance as the overshoot, and you get that right here. But by the time you get another chance to go long over here, you can tell this is clearly a range across here, and there's not enough room to get out. If you go short here, you might have had room to get out short here, but you don't want to go short yet. But on these longs, you never have room to get out. They're just not worth risking until you finally get the failed break lower. And then you probably want to wait on the higher low, as I discussed. But when you get it, you just get a very neutral bar. Somebody else sent me theirs, and I think they had a really nice bar there, and I probably would have taken that one. And I'd probably take this trade here too. So not a bad day, not a lot of entries, but it was a fairly easy day. You just get long. The only place it got suspect was after this overshoot. And even then, you might have considered that, hey, it's about an equal distance. So maybe it's a two-tiered channel. You could look at it like that. But when you didn't get any more price action up in that end, and you couldn't even get back to the midline here, you got to be thinking, hey, we overshot this side. We're probably going to overshoot this. This probably got a break coming. So sometimes that can be a little questionable, but you just never get back up there ever again. And then by the time you get out here, it's clear that, hey, we're going sideways. Something's changed. So once we made that measured move, which should have been your main target, you're just going sideways. So I was trying to think, you might have looked at this like a double test, but with all that resistance across there, it's not worth risking. You got to look at this as just a range. And so it seems like somebody did ask me that. Would I look at this like a double test here? And no, by that time, because look at all that resistance. We had a little failed break out the upper side, and then we got back in there, and then we had the break out the lower side, and then it came back up and tried to test the high and still couldn't get a new high. So there's some strong selling that we'll have to work through at this price level right here, 24.65. So we'll have to see what happens. But fairly easy day early on. Once we got into the noon hour, just nothing really. I mean, once we got past this level right here, I mean, there's nothing happening the rest of the day except for this one drop lower. And so you might have had one more opportunity to trade that, but I would just stay flat out of this stuff here. And if you got tripped up here, you know, the only really clue you had was the fact that we made a high there once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And so that's telling you something going long into that resistance 4 different times and you can't get through there. So, I mean, this would have been the 4th time. And so you're really pushing your luck. And I think it may have been a 4-tick failure. The only way you could have done this was if it broke higher and you dropped your limit order far enough to get out before you got back to these highs, and you don't get that. Same thing here. You might have even considered that here and notice it probably doesn't come back far enough to enter you right here and get out again. So it just doesn't work out. Actually, I meant to talk about on this trade. On my chart, you couldn't even get in here. By the time this closed, it gapped over that. And so the only way I could get in was a limit order, and it didn't come back far enough to give me room to get in before I got to that high. So you may not have been that lucky. Your chart might not have looked exactly like that. So if you entered here and didn't get out, when it just kept going sideways here, that was probably your clue. Hey, take what you can get and exit, especially if you had your channel right. A couple people that sent me didn't have this channel right here. They were looking at it slightly different. I don't know what they did that was different. And you can see even here and here, we didn't quite get back to mine, which it could just be it needs adjusting just slightly. So that doesn't really mean, I mean, it still fits right there, still works, and maybe that's all it was I needed to adjust mine just a little bit. But anyway, that's what I saw today. Hopefully you saw it pretty close to what I did. If you got tripped up right in here, I wouldn't beat myself up over it. This is a strong trend, and you can see the lots of little bars and dojis in there. And generally, you just have to take every entry that you get, every chance, because if you don't get a chance to enter. Your only clue was the resistance right across there and the fact that we overshot here. Outside of that, generally, I'd probably say you want to risk that right there. So that's the only clue you had. So study that if you need to. And I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.